Welcome to the Art, Body, and Soul podcast. I'm so glad you found your way here. I'm your host, Camille St, and this episode marks the relaunch of the show and was recorded in Glacier National Park up at Avalanche Lake. This episode is all about taking soulful journeys and specifically doing it alone. All of the lessons and growing that come out of solo trips, and if you've ever taken one, you probably know that. And then also, what is the deeper things that we feel when we are still with ourselves? So I hope you enjoy this episode. I'll be doing more from the field, but some from the studio as well. Hopefully you'll be seeing me in Ireland, Kauai, San Diego, Canada, and other places around the world as we take our journey of art, body, and soul. Well, hello, I'm Camille St, your host of Art, Body, and Soul, coming to you from Glacier National Park. And today I am out here making a podcast in the field, and I am on a solo journey, and that's what today's episode is about. So thank you for joining me. This is likely the first time you've listened to Art, Body, and Soul. Although I have 13 different podcasts on the books, I took a pause after starting the podcast in 2020. So a little bit about the backstory on that before we get in today's topic. So in 2020, during the pandemic, like lots of people, stress, anxiety was all about. And I was noticing all the people in my life who I cared about immensely and seeing that everybody was really suffering. So I took a class at Yale University, and the class was about the science of well-being. And it's one of their most wildly popular classes. It is the most popular class that they have ever offered at Yale. And I was really fortunate to take that class. And that spurred the podcast. And I recorded several episodes, but then my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And as you can imagine, I, just had a lot going on, and I decided to take a pause on Art, Body, and Soul and really throw myself into my career to make sure that my husband felt supported and that we had all the things that we needed. And I thought that was the right path. So today we are going to talk about shifts in life and how a solo journey can really make a difference, and the things that come out of it. 3 big takeaways from taking solo journeys and how it can improve who you are as a person in personal growth. So before I get into this even a little more, I just want to ask for your grace as I'm recording by myself, and hopefully I don't have too many challenges, but it was really important to me to do this from the field. I know there are just mega podcasters out there, many of them who have these very elaborate studios. They are able to interview guests around the planet who have extremely high degrees in education, and they are the world's best. And that's not this podcast. I don't have that. I am a beginner podcaster. And I'm just really grateful that you're here, and I want to express my appreciation and asking for your grace as I do this in the field. I'm feeling really brave about it, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. So you're going to see me looking at my notes from time to time because I'm navigating people on this trail. I am at the lake here. I'm at Avalanche Lake, and it was a 2.5 mile hike in, and I'm really loving it. But let's get into about getting here and why I thought this solo journey was going to be so much different than it is. So I have traveled by myself before. That's not a big deal. I've gone to places around the planet, but I've always traveled, with a safety net on the other end. So I've had a friend, a family member, somebody on the other end who I was meeting, or I traveled with a coworker, or I traveled with family members. And most of it's been flying. And I've taken a few trips driving in the country, long distances. I think the longest one was it from Colorado? It was a 19-hour trip, and me and my daughter did a mom-daughter trip. But the point is I've always been with somebody or had somebody on the other end to catch me. And when I decided to do this solo trip, I didn't realize the change that was going to happen. And let me just tell you about that. So I had the opportunity to come to Montana to visit my cousin who lives near the border of Canada. I said, well, gosh, why don't I just go to Glacier? I've been there before. It's a lovely park. I didn't get to do some of the hikes that I wanted to do, some of the more popular ones when I was there. And I'll do a podcast from there. I think people would find it interesting. It'd be better than me sitting in my house. I want to be on the road. And speaking of that, then I got the idea to do podcasts from a few locations that'll be coming. So Ireland, Kauai, Canada, and maybe San Diego. So those hopefully will be in the coming months will be coming out. But it was my way of, thinking differently. So I started to get ready for this journey. And there's a point to this story. And this is what I learned. I decided I was going to do this. And as I started to prepare and the dates got closer for me to be ready to go and to leave, I noticed that I had a pit in my stomach. And I was like, why do I have a pit in my stomach? And it kept getting bigger and bigger. So I took a moment to pause. Now, I don't know if you've ever had this happen before. You're getting ready to do something and you get nervous. Well, this was different. This was different. It wasn't like, oh, I've got to hurry, get ready for the airport, that kind of, nervousness. This was much deeper. And it was so deep that it caused me to pause because it was almost paralyzing and I couldn't figure out why. I've been to Glacier before. I'm going on these really well-traveled paths. Oh, I'm going to do a podcast in the field. I have to run all of this equipment out in the field. People are going to see me doing this. They're not going to like the podcast. I have to run all of this equipment. I started to have a moment on several levels, and I took a journey. So when you oftentimes are feeling nervous about something, you're feeling anxious about it, you need to pause. It might actually be fear. And the fear that I was having was much deeper than about coming here alone and having to carry bear spray, even though I'm on very well traveled paths, and there's really no bears like on this place that I'm at. Other places. So what was it about? So I've had a major shift in life. I left government service, corporate life, and I leaned into my passion, art, body, and soul, which I shared with you that I began in 2020 and put on pause when my husband had cancer. And so what I discovered is that going from being a part of large teams, very, very large teams, and always having them around me, being a child of 6 kids, always having family members, it's one of the people from the wild. I always have been with folks, people around me. And I've led teams in big initiatives. I'm used to being in the public eye, being in public relations for government officials and heads of state. So why was I having this moment of trepidation? And it was because I have no team anymore. Every decision that I make is on me. There's no one to collaborate with. If something doesn't work, it's all on me. There's no one to help me fix it. And coming out here to Glacier and having to record remotely caused me a bunch of stress. And it was because if you saw the amount of gear that I have set up just to do this, I have an SD card, a hub hooked up to that has my lapel mic and a battery and a gimbal. And I can't get the gimbal to work right because there's too much weight on the end of the camera now. And that's why I'm doing this vertically. And everything had a software with it. And I was getting stressed for a lot of reasons. So let's just unwind this a little bit. So as I planned, I was like, gosh, okay, there's going to be a 2-hour wait. I have to get up very early, 2-hour wait just to get in. I need to get there as early as possible. On my travel, I need to like be up at 5 o'clock. I need to get lots of sleep. I need to go, 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 go. And when I got to Coeur d'Alene, I had a moment where I discovered what really was stressing me out. And it was because I wasn't picking my hard. So there's a lot of hard things that I can do, but I don't have to do everything hard. I don't have to be a hard charger 100% of the time. And so I was sitting there in my hotel in Coeur d'Alene because I decided to do this in 2 legs. I came from Washington Coast. I live in a coastal town there. And then I decided to just stop in Coeur d'Alene. Well, so I'm sitting there and I've already had a couple of hiccups. Like I was so nervous because of this whole thing that I forgot my backpack, one of my backpacks at home. I had my backpack with all of my recording equipment, but I did not have my backpack for my day hike. Yeah, so I went to Cabela's and I solved that, and I got a day pack, and I wasn't borrowing my husband's now, so I was really happy, and it's a cute backpack, and it'll be just fine. But I was sitting there and I went, oh, okay, I've got to get up super early tomorrow. I have a 4-hour and 44-minute drive. I have to, get there early enough so that I can get through this 2-hour line. I have to make sure that at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, I go in and try and get in this lottery of getting a pass to going to the Sun Road. And everything just started piling up. Okay, in everything, like, oh, there's going to be no parking in these places. And I just pushed the pause button and I said, Camille, pick your hard. So I decided that getting there early in the day was not what I was going to do. I didn't need to go on a hike that day. I could just do a recon. And I left at a decent time in the morning. I slept in for me and I had breakfast. I did some work on my computer. I got some emails out. I, did some stuff on the website and on the app that I have. And then I packed everything in the car and off I went. And I decided to just go to the park and drive through and do a recon. And it was a good thing. It turned out that the weather changed and it was a really rainy day. It wasn't a day I wanted to go on a hike. And nobody else did either. And what I learned when I got there is, 1, when the weather's not just cranking hot, the park is empty. 2, if you come in the afternoon, there are no lines for anything. First thing in the morning, there's lines everywhere. So I drove through and I had this really fun experience seeing all of these kind of moody moments up in the mountains here, up in the glaciers. And I took a breath and I went, oh, okay. I just removed like 3 really hard things and everything feels so much better. Went back to my room, had, checked in, had my dinner that I had in my, that I toted along, and went to the Share Shack. They had a Share Shack here because I forgot my backpack at home and I was able to go get equipment. So that was kind of fun. And then I decided I don't need to be there at 7 a.m. and wait 2 hours or more to get in. I'm going to do the same thing that I did yesterday. I made my reservation for going to the Sun Road for 11 o'clock. And I got in 15 minutes. I found a parking spot. I got on the trail and I walked my 61 minutes with stops along the way. It was a hard hike though. It says moderate, but it felt hard. And everything started to calm down. So instead of doing every single thing hard, I chose what my hard was. And that immediately helped me reset my nervous system. The pit in my stomach started going away. And I did some breath work, and I know a lot of people are like, what's breath work? And they poo-poo it. It really helps. It's not a woo-woo thing. It's connected to your neurological system, and it resets it. So I did some breath work, and I was like, gosh, I'm relaxed. I'm going to have a good trip. And here I am. I've talked to a bunch of people. They've all kind of left this end of the lake. And here I am having this podcast with you, sharing what I did and what I learned. So not only did I do this in the trip, but I'm taking that lesson. Sorry, I kind of stumbled there, but I'm taking this lesson back to Art, Body, and Soul, the business, and I need to pick my hard, because I've been trying to pick hard on every single thing and just go at a breakneck pace. I have done, according to the people I've talked to, wildly, insanely fast things. I have published a couple of journals, that they're like guided journals you can get. One's called Chasing Light, which I'm using that journal here on this adventure. Another one's called Tall Thoughts. I have developed a website. I've got an app. I've got like 150 recipes in my nutrition library, a bunch of workouts, meditations, and I'm working on some art therapy. It's not clinical art therapy, it's facilitated art therapy lessons. And I have done a lot more than that: trademarking, blogs, this podcast now, and a lot of other business planning. So I've done that all in about, I would say, 16 Mondays. So that's pretty darn good. And with a major surgery in the middle of that took me out of play for a month. So I wasn't giving myself the credit. I was trying to just do more, which we are in a do more society. I was trying to do all of the hard things all at once. And now I've decided I just need to break it down. Getting this podcast up is one of them. I can just do this right now. This is my hard. I can work on a couple other things after the podcast is out and broadcast to everyone. So what does this mean to you? One, if you're having a life shift and you're feeling uncomfortable, settle with it. For me, it was, I had a couple of things. One, I'm outside of my team environment that I had before, and now I am doing everything solo. And that was uncomfortable for me. And that was what was going on in my trip. I was making every single decision on this trip, and I was responsible for it. From forgetting my stuff at home, to making sure that I stayed gassed up, that the route I chose was appropriate, that I had all the food, all the gear, that the timing to get in the park, the reservations. And normally when I've done road trips, I've done them with somebody else and we break up the responsibilities. It's not all on me. So that was part of the trip, and that's part of my business. I don't have anybody there I'm planning with and talking with. Number two was I was picking all of the hard all at once, trying to do everything, all of the hard things all the time, instead of breaking it down and just doing one hard thing at a time. So I don't know if you can relate to that, but I want to share with you the 3 things that come out of doing solo journeys like this. So one, doing hard things like going on this trip by myself, it rewires your brain. The neuroplasticity in your brain causes you to adapt, and you grow, and you can do this at any age. And solo trips cause you to do that. You have to create new trails in your brain by doing things alone, and that's just research. So a solo trip does so much for you. So think about that. Doing hard things rewires your brain, the neuroplasticity. It helps you adapt, grow, and you can do this at any age, and it creates new trails, yes, pun intended, new trails in your brain. And we should be doing this for life. Then also, number 2, it's confidence building. Oh my gosh, I feel so confident, and I actually feel more like myself. I had lost my confidence when I left my government service job, and I don't know how it happened. I have always been a very confident person. I'm very cheerful. I go out and do things, and I don't have a lot of fear. I jumped out of a plane. I competed in a world competition for CrossFit. I have, biked 50 miles on a solo bike. Now I'm here. I've gone rappelling. I've done all kinds of things that a lot of people don't do. And there's a lot more. And I'm used to speaking to the media, the news media. That'll really scare people. I'm used to talking to reporters on television, radio, newspaper, LA Times, New York Times, all kinds of media outlets. I can do hard things. So when to lose your confidence a little bit, and it was from not being in a team, it was just me being solo, it kind of shook me up. I feel more like myself today here at this lake than I have in months. Even though I love what I'm doing right now and I'm working really hard, I feel like I got my groove back. I don't know if you know that movie, Stella Got Her Groove Back. It's not that groove. It's my groove and just confidence. So, and that's what a solo trip can do. It builds confidence. I have some notes that I wrote to myself here. Deeper connection and of self decision making. So I'm proud of myself for all the decisions I made. Number 3, this is a big one, self-discovery. And I've talked about this the majority of the time. The self-discovery that I have gone through on this solo trip has been, I think, monumental. I realized that my nervousness is that I'm not working in a team, don't have a daily team meeting like I used to have, and people, for around me for my entire career. When I ran restaurants, I was a manager of a restaurant. I had a day crew and a night crew, and we all worked together managing these restaurants, and everybody had different things that they did, and it was teamwork. When I was in banking and working in marketing and advertising in financial institutions, we all worked as teams. Same thing in nonprofits and in the government world, we were all working towards one common denominator, one common goal. Yeah, it was good. Now it's me working towards that common goal, and there's no one there but me, and that was uncomfortable, and I didn't realize that that was making me uncomfortable. Same with the trip. I was always used to, on long trips, having a second person to go through the itinerary, to make sure that if we were tired, somebody could take over driving, what we were going to do if a situation came up. There was none of that. It was all on me. Self-discovery. And also spending hours alone, okay? I think it was 9 hours. I think I drove for 9 hours. That is a long time to spend by yourself driving. And I'm sure many of you have done that. But for me, it was the first time I had gone that far in a car by myself. And I had to sit with my thoughts. And perhaps if I wasn't in a life shift, just now really embracing art, body, and soul, stepping away from my corporate and government service career. Yeah, I'm not so sure that, a year ago I would have been this uncomfortable, but I was today because I sat with myself all that time and I had to think about the things that were really troubling me and come to the realization it was team and no one else to lean on for when decisions don't go right. So here's what I have for you. Lean on your people, find a mentor, find a group to belong to, which is what I'm working on building. I decided that when I was on the road, that if there's a group that I can either get into, support, or if I have to create one, I will, but having people that you can bounce things off of and feel like you've got some kind of support mechanism is absolutely critical. 2, do a solo trip and go through some self-discovery, learn about yourself, and do something hard. Yeah, do something hard. And you will be better for it in the long run. All right, that's what I have for you today. And I want to leave you with this. Remember, positivity is contagious, and please make it your mission to lift somebody up each day. Let me say that again. I'm asking for grace. So positivity is contagious, and please make it your mission, as I do, to lift one person up each day. Thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Art, Body, and Soul. If something in this episode stirred you, maybe cracked open your heart a little bit, or you learned something that you think somebody else would benefit from, please share this episode with them. And if you want to like and subscribe, I very much appreciate that. And until next time, please stay curious, take care of yourself,
do fun things, laugh more because it's medicine. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care and be well.